Hi everyone, welcome to another video. Today we're going to be talking about this isometric pixel art drawing and how I made it. Cool, let's jump right in. So first off, I started in Sprite, my pixel art software of choice, and I made a isometric grid that's 2 horizontal by 1 vertical pixel. Then on top of that, I started creating a super rough sketch, filling out very rough details where I want to place the walls and the bookshelves and the sort of store that this concept was for. So this drawing was for a mock-up screen for a card collecting pixel art game. And the idea was to have a sort of a slice of the store available to see what it would look like in game. So you see, I started off with just a quick character reference to get the scale right, and then I obviously used reference that I found on Pinterest and in other games, and I used something like PureRef to have the reference next to me while I work. Okay, then basically it's going through each piece of furniture piece by piece. So because this was a card collecting game, I tried to focus a lot around the cards first, and I made boxes with cards and closed boxes and open boxes, and it was a bit difficult to figure out how to make a card in pixel art style because I only had a limited amount of pixels and it was isometric, so I couldn't just create a square. So yeah, it was a lot of time prototyping that. So then I went up and down the canvas, moving between different pieces of furniture, different places in the canvas, the walls, the outside, the inside, just to not get bored. Or whenever I get stuck on one piece, I move to another piece, and that really helps to not get overloaded. Using the line tool to make a lot of straight lines and trying to stay with that 2 by 1 isometric rule. So once again, 2 horizontal by 1 vertical. A lot of the wooden boards are all these 2 by 1 lines. Sometimes I like to duplicate the content around, change some stuff, lasso to it, move it up and down, just playing around, trying to reuse asset. Also did a lot of pots and plants, trying to make it feel more homey. So I started off with the most simplest plants because I'm not that good with organic material, and then moved on again to the inorganic stuff like the bookshelves, and then going back to the organic stuff. I tried to focus on sort of a central theme, like a central play area where the players would play cards. So I had this round table, which was a bit tricky in this style. So I think a square table would have worked well, but it was feeling too stiff. So I went with a circular table. So you'll see I spent a lot of time trying to place things here, trying to place the bookshelves and the cupboards and the back of the walls. This was not designed as a game-ready concept, because otherwise I would have created the walls separately from the bookshelves so that they could be pulled into a game engine. So this was just a concept. This was a project with a limited time and budget. I couldn't spend time creating the assets, so I would have asked the client to pay additionally for me to create assets from this design, which then would either have been done beforehand or afterwards, depending on what they wanted. So for this one, I went in straight and just started drawing. then I started going in with flat colors. So I first added more or less flat colors to everything. Sometimes I dived in a little bit to the details just because I enjoyed it. Floor, I tried to make a wooden floor, so I made a bunch of straight lines and just kept on going through the process. Sometimes you'll see I add outlines or I color my black outlines on the, especially on like corners or of the cupboards, corners of the tables and stuff to help it stand out a bit more. So if you zoom out, you'll see that if all your outlines are black, it's a bit difficult to distinguish between objects. So sometimes I like to color the inside of the pixel art a different color than the outside. And then with these black outlines, it helps to separate them from each other. You'll see I just keep on going in and out, trying to add some color to everything. Changing the colors of assets, the card boxes, making them pink and green, and trying to reuse assets as often as possible. I did have to experiment a lot with the cards. It was a bit tricky. The client came back to me at a point and said it felt a bit too colorful. So I went back and tried to mute some colors, tried to decrease the saturation of some of the boxes and the cards and stuff like that. And I think it came out much better in the end. And then going on to the outside, or more details, adding street lamps, trying to work on the stairs, some of the trees. cards, more and more and more cards. It's a card game, so there had to be lots and lots of cards. Display shelf there. And adding these preserved cards in these plastic holders, sort of these rare limited edition cards. Keep on going, adding these little points of interest. Then we need to create the cobblestones on the pathway. You'll see actually where I desaturated a lot of stuff. This is when the client came with a desaturation comment. So I literally went in and desaturated it and then tried to see how that felt. And then later on I went back in and added some colors. I also changed the front desk to be a bit less contrasty because the blue glass wasn't really working for me, so I added something from a game that he recommended to me to use as a reference. So these different cards that stand up that the player can interact with and see what they are. And then, yeah, just keep on going, adding more plants and details. So yes, unfortunately, I ran out of space and time to record more footage. The project did actually go on much longer than we anticipated, so I really had to dive in and spend some intricate time working on all the different aspects. You'll see this is the final drawing, and it actually is a much different than the one you saw me draw. You can see the square table. You can see the front desk is much different than the initial one, so it's a bit way simpler, less saturated colors. And you'll see there also only two bookshelves, one small shelf there, and then less of those highlighted secret cards here at the top. I learned a lot through this process. Isometric, it really takes a lot longer. It is fun, but it is way more difficult to get sort of the idea across. I do like the end project, but actually the client went up asking me afterwards to do a top-down, non-isometric style because he thought that would work better for the game. So even though this will never be used, sadly, I really do like this piece. I really learned a lot. It pushed me to far beyond my abilities. And I'm just sad that I couldn't record the whole process. But if you're interested in exactly what I did, I can go in deeper, or please ask me in the comments. There's a lot of stuff I can talk about here. Adding sort of the bloom to the lights, reusing these grass brush textures, how I did the trees. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon in the next video. Once again, it's time to give thanks to my Patreons. Thanks so much to Manfred van Zyl and Francie on the Patreon. I really appreciate your support. Thanks so much. Cheers.